Hello friends, and welcome back to Medicinal Mysteries. I'm Dr. Maxwell, your guide to the weird, wonderful, and occasionally deadly world of natural products. Today's topic, one of history's most infamous substances. Strychnine. It's been called a medicine, a sports booster, a pesticide, and of course, a classic murder weapon. Honestly, if natural products were movie characters, Strychnine would be the one played by Johnny Depp. Fascinating, unpredictable, and probably not safe to be around. Strychnine comes from the seeds of the Strychnos nux-vomica tree, native to India and Southeast Asia. That name alone should have been a warning sign. Nux-vomica. Translation: poison nut. In 1818, French chemists isolated strychnine in crystalline form, and in the early 1800s, anything new and shiny got labeled as a tonic. They didn't exactly do long-term clinical trials, so strychnine was marketed as a treatment for fatigue, impotence, even stomach upset. Imagine going to your doctor in 1820. "Doc, I'm tired," and he hands you one of the most potent neurotoxins on the planet. And somehow, this was considered progress. So, what does strychnine actually do? It blocks something called the glycine receptor in the spinal cord. Glycine normally acts as a brake, calming down overexcited nerves. Without it, your muscles go into full-blown overdrive. Picture every muscle in your body firing at once, uncontrollably, in tiny, tiny doses. It feels like a stimulant, or more alert. Your muscles twitch. You might even feel stronger, in slightly bigger doses. You end up in violent spasms, unable to breathe, often arching into what doctors call think exorcist-style body contortions. Yeah, not fun. Now here's the part that blows my mind. Strychnine wasn't just used as a medicine. It was used as a sports supplement. The most famous case was at the 1904 St. Louis Olympics. The marathon that year was already at disaster temperatures near 90 degrees. Dusty dirt roads, runners collapsing left and right. One runner nearly died after being chased off the course by wild dogs. Yes, really? Enter Thomas Hicks, an American marathoner. His trainers gave him not one, but 2 doses of strychnine mixed with brandy. Because apparently the thought was, you're dehydrated and dying? Here, have poison and alcohol. And somehow, it worked. Hicks staggered across the finish line first, but he looked like a corpse on Legzation face, hallucinating, muscles twitching uncontrollably. He had to be carried off by his handlers. And yet, that performance still goes down in Olympic history as a gold medal run. So yes, you could say Hicks was their regional pre-workout influencer. Just, don't try his recipe at home. Strychnine also became a favorite for murder mysteries. Why? Because it was effective, widely available, and oh so dramatic. Victims poisoned with strychnine would collapse within minutes. They'd convulse violently, arched backward, their faces contorted into a rictus grin, sometimes called the sardonic smile. Creepy, but very distinctive. Victorian England saw dozens of strychnine poisonings. Detectives often suspected it when deaths looked too theatrical. It even made its way into literature. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle used strychnine in The Adventure of the Speckled Band, a Sherlock Holmes story. Holmes, being Holmes, spots it immediately. Because of course, he does. And then there's Agatha Christie. She was practically the Beyoncé of poison literature. Strychnine shows up in her first novel, The Mysterious Affair at Styles, in 1920. In fact, it's the very first poison Poirot investigates. Fast forward to today. Strychnine is still around, but thankfully not in medicine. It's been mostly relegated to pesticides, especially for killing rats and moles. Even that use is declining because it's just too risky. In the medical world, it's a big no. Even tiny doses are unpredictable. And for athletes, forget it. Banned, illegal, dangerous. The irony is, strychnine did show us something important. The fine line between stimulation and toxicity. In the 19th century, it was used like caffeine. Today, we know better. Well, most of us. So, what do we learn from the Strychnine saga? 1. Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's safe. Remember, cyanide is natural too. Doesn't mean you want it in your smoothie. 2. History is full of wild medical experiments. We like to think we're smarter today, but let's be real. Future generations will probably laugh at our trends. I mean, kale smoothies, detox teas. Yeah, we might not look so clever in 100 years either. And 3, if you're running a marathon, maybe skip the poison and brandy combo. Stick with water, electrolytes, maybe some caffeine. Leave the strychnine to history books and Agatha Christie novels. This has been Medicinal Mysteries with Dr. Maxwell. Thanks for joining me on another journey into the curious world of natural products. If you enjoyed this dive into deadly history, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and maybe check your brandy for additives before race day.